All right, cool. So everybody can see the charts. Y'all can hear me. We good. This one thing that I said I'm gonna start doing is, every night around this time, whoever's available will hop on. I'll go over just my little small list that I keep, Mag 7 plus Palantir, MSTR and Hood. We'll talk levels, we'll talk contracts. I give you guys a little heads up on where my head is. So that way when we go into the following day, everybody knows kind of what my game plan is, and it makes it easier to follow. You feel me? So we saw some nice movement on Hood and MSTR. Everything else that I was watching so far is a little consolidated. Even Tesla, a little bit consolidated. So I always like to start with SPY first. SPY is it's somewhat strong. I don't like it to go long right now just because it's kind of already high. I'm not saying that we can't push a little bit higher, but as we've been seeing, every time it pushes up to these 665 to 667 levels, um, it gets shorted pretty quick. So we can see multiple times how it's rejected around that 665 level. So earlier today, I actually took a Q put right at the top. I didn't get a chance to signal it because it dropped pretty quickly. But I typed out and I gave you guys my limit order field, and that way if you can put it on your watch list, and if it comes back around that level again, it'll be easier to enter. My biggest thing lately has been entering on limit orders and not market order fields. That way we can avoid the chop, the theta decay, and it makes the profits, happen a whole lot cleaner. But as of right now, we got a nice little gap up coming into the week. If we look at it, SPY filled majority of that gap and use it as support and bounce back up to the upside. So we could push back up. We just have to see how pre-market turns out tomorrow. But anything above the 665 level, I'm looking at 659 and 660 puts. They're a little bit expensive because I'm going a month out. But like I said, I just like for me and everybody else that follows me to kind of the um, protect your money. Theta can burn up pretty quick. As you can see, we're in a very choppy market. We have retested at 659 level Friday, and from there we traded to the upside, gapped up because I mean everything's been pretty choppy. It's been a roller coaster ride up and down. So as you can see, we traded up into the supply zone here, smaller gap up, and then we got another gap up here. So going into tomorrow, I'm still expecting chop. This gap up right here that we saw today could be an indication that we attempt to retest the 665, maybe 667 level, but I'm looking to short back down to 659 at any time, just because I just think anything above 667 is just too high based off of my charts. So I could be wrong, but in this game, you just got to stick to your guns and trade what you see. Consistency pretty much is taking the same trade setup over and over unless you see a different variable. In this case, the variable was this gap up, but the rejection level was the same. So if it pushes up above here, it just lets me know we're trying to retest this zone. This would be another area that I would take puts. What I would do is I would take puts at 665, and then if it retests at 667, I'll grab another one there, and then I'll pretty much manage my risk from there as far as stop losses or percentage losses. Um, and that's how spot looks as far as that right now. Now, if we look at the Qs are a little different. So the Qs gapped up too, but they didn't fill the gap kind of like spot did. So there's still a little bit more room to the downside, down to the 596 level. Um, I took the I took 587 puts here at the top at 601. I have to go back and look, but if you check my channel, the alerts channel, alerts or positions, one of them, you will see what my limit order fill was. So I'll be watching that. If we get back above here tomorrow or later on this week. But this was a nice little short opportunity above that level. We've seen sellers step in once before. So anything above 602, I'll be looking for that to be a level to go short again. Um, it's just I just don't have much confidence for the market at these levels. I feel like they're kind of propping everything up, and I think we need to come back down here. I think big money wants to see it come back down here, just to go ahead and you know jump in to push it right back up, kind of like we saw on these two retests here. So I'm waiting on a catalyst to see what could possibly sink it. One thing that I do watch, and I used to preach this a lot, pay attention to SQQ. The reason why I like it is because when I was learning how to read price action on different tickers and everything, I came across this one, and tracking the volatility on this one is just a whole lot easier than trying to read, the cues running $5 and $10 at a time when SQQ literally runs probably about 30 or 40 cents at a time, like from $15.10 to $15.45. I mean, that's like a 30-cent difference that it ran up. And with that being said, you've seen the Qs drop from 602 down to 597. So if you can track the volatility on SQQ, it can make you a lot of money trading Qs to the up or to the downside, just because these small moves here makes up for a bigger move on the actual Qs if you're trading that too. So I normally set alerts. I I set my trend lines and stuff like that, and I trade this, pretty much to mirror the Qs. I know if this goes up, then the Qs are going down. And this actually might break out pretty soon. So just imagine if we seen the Qs drop a couple of dollars once this moved 30 cents. Just think about how much the market would come down if all of this is a buy zone to me, and we come back up here around like 16 and $17. I think I went over this the other day with the gaps. We got a gap right here, $17. So just think about when this decides to break out and it wants to come back up to $17. That's like a $2 move, $1.50, $2 move. I mean, that's going to destroy the market. So I'm watching SQQs. Just keep your heads up for it. Even though we made lower lows today, it got bought right back up. Anywhere in between here is a pivotal reversal zone, back up to the upside. So what I think is, I think the market is pretty much just some stocks are cooling down, some are picking up, like Tesla, and well, let's look at Hood, Apple, and Tesla, because those are my three stocks that I'm just considering are just really, really overbought. So a couple of you guys probably was in on Hood. I know probably about a week and a half ago, I was signaling 123 calls. Geo probably got in on some of those, and some of the other people locked in on some nice contracts when it was trading back around this 117-ish, 120 range. If you were holding, then I mean, the profits are amazing if you're still in. Shorter dated though. Okay, cool. But 123 calls are well in the money. It's running hot right now though. I signaled a little bit earlier that I'll be watching around like this 137.50. Look for puts at this 123 level. 123 calls. Last time I checked, they didn't have very much open interest and volume. Um, the money just hasn't started flowing into it. But if you hold it long enough, you'll see the open interest and the volume probably start to pick up. I think it's going to come down at least back down to this 129, 128 level. But I just think it's way too much going on with it as of right now, even if it decides to push up. So that's gonna be my first level of profit taking. If once I get in up here, anything up here is automatic short. Automatic short. It's 139, 145. If it moves up there, automatic. It's coming back down here. That's just where the last like real support level was around here. So right now it's just burning out. It could go higher, but yeah, I'm shorting it if it gets definitely shorting it if it gets up here. And GNC say bearish. It's bullish, but it's gonna be bearish. So that's my take on hood. We see it pushing around like 137.50. I'm liking calls. I mean puts already at this level back down to 123. If it goes any higher, that's just the algo burning out bears, and you just have to give it some time, let it consolidate and break itself back down. Probably something like Apple's doing right now. Probably something like Apple's doing right now. Those shorter expirations, we just been getting burnt on those over the past couple of months. So that's why I've been pushing all my signals and my entries out for a month just to give myself time for it to play out. Everything has just been it's been manipulated right now. They're holding a lot of these levels a lot higher, and the Bulls are just winning, in this quarter right now. So that's what we are seeing right now with Apple. So we could possibly see the same thing that's going on with Hood as far as it's just trading just dramatically to the upside. We already seen it once. So now we're possibly looking at it again with Apple. Might try to do it again. So it's already super strong. I think somebody tried to short it in the group already. They only got maybe a little bit of profit, not enough to really just want to make you stay in. But my next target is 260. Now I'm looking at 241 or 240 contracts, 240 puts right now for Apple. But I don't think I'm gonna take it right now. We may see it reject again around this top. So this is around like 257. If it gets above that, you can start an entry for 240 puts and take 260 as a second contract. I don't believe in buying multiple contracts anymore. I used to do it a lot, three, four, five contracts at a time just to see the money add up quick. But when I started doing more like risk management and started having more people follow trades and everything, I just started showing people how to scale in trades, and how, single contracts, two contracts can add up fairly quickly if you take your entries and your exits, pretty well. So right now I'll be watching this 257 level. If we get a move back up, and that'll be my first entry for these 240 puts. They should be fairly cheap the more that it goes up. And kind of like Hood, I think the oxygen will start getting pulled out the bulls up here around this 260 level, and we should see it start back dropping. Apple can either run real hard or it can fall real hard. It's really not an in between with them. Really not an in between. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. I'm not touching any calls just because it's already overextended. I just let the algo do what it wants to do and pump it if it wants to pump, and I'll just be looking for movements to the downside. Um, is this it's still September, so I mean the September effect is almost over. It's supposed to be bearish. Uh, it's supposed to be a bearish month for September, but we'll just see if it's gonna close like this or it's gonna kind of delay it, and then October we start seeing some of the stocks start coming down. So that's one. Let's see, we went over Q, SPY, Hood, Apple. Let's look at Palantir. All right, so I already got a lot of stuff marked out for Palantir. So as of right now, we've seen a lot of rejection, bears stepping in at this 183 level. So we have to continue to play this until it plays out, until it doesn't play out anymore. Right now, the 177.5 contracts are kind of expensive. I think last time I looked at them at a rejection up here, they're around probably about, let me see. I think they were about between like $600 and $800 to go a month out for the 177.5. I like the 170s. I can't remember if it was 170. I think it was 170 puts. I can't remember the exact strike price on the contracts, but the price action has just been too strong for me to want to go this far out the money on puts. Reason why, because if it breaks this 183 level, then we could be pushing up to this 190 level. So I got a couple of levels higher. You know, Palantir is just one of them stocks that just continuously goes up. If you keep trying to short it and revenge trade it can be one of the worst things that you can ever do. My single Palantir put got banged up today. Yeah, you got to take it at the absolute top. Um, the little pattern that I had drawn up on Palantir looks kind of like this. I was trying to see if we gonna have, kind of like a little flag forming or something on here, just playing around with the trend lines. And this is just what my brain is doing at the moment with these candles that I'm seeing right now. So we got something like that. Got a nice consolidated zone back down here. So I mean, it accumulated. Palantir accumulated long enough, for this move to the upside. So um, we can see this 170, 150 move, but I would think that it'll get bought back up. This would be that drop will be resistance turn support right there. So all of that, we can see it dip, get bought up here, or if it dips down a little further, we can see, eventually come out of there and come back up to the upside. Just enough for buyers to step in here and then make it break out and push up to this 190 level. So um, I just kind of been staying away from it right now. It's always a buy the deal moment with Palantir. Puts are always kind of risky, especially today with it up here 181. We could have saw it easily push 183 if we would have tried to short it. So just stay away from it right now. 177.5 puts is what I got my eyes on at the moment, and then 190 calls is what I would play to the upside, just depending on how the market is gonna force it to play. So I think Geo just said way too choppy. I agree. Um, it's probably good for a day trade, maybe a scalp. Nothing more, nothing less. Let's move on to MSTR. If you tuned in Sunday, this was one of the stocks that I looked at. Um, I drew it out. Nice little triangle pattern forming here, little wedge. 317 was my target last week when it dropped down to this 294 range. Um, Fred Boy said, hell yes, they all MSTR calls. It was you and it was somebody else. One other person was playing MSTR and they asked me about it. Once it broke this, like I said, we saw the drop down here. This 294 to 292 played to perfection. It dropped down and it bounced instantly once it got below 294. And like I said, 317 was my target. We hit that and we continue to trade higher. Reason why this little gap down right here is challenging the bulls, challenging the bears right there. So another gap up would be good. The thing with MSTR, I've seen it at times, not even gap up, it just continue to squeeze out. If it does continue to run to the upside and retest the top of this pattern here, 350 is the strike price that I wouldn't go any higher than. Maybe 365. Those are some of my old contracts that I was in, but it's just too much red and yellow in here. And whenever I see a lot of red and yellow, it warns me to stay away, profit taking, slow down. All the warm colors like this, it just makes me, it tells me don't hop into it too fast because it could, the same way it popped up here and it eventually came all the way back down. Even though it filled the gap, we could see the same thing happen even after the money's made. I mean, it's a big move from 294 all the way up to 365. Well, 350. That's a very, very extended move. So price action is going to be exhausted by the time it gets up there. So if you're in MSTR, be careful. I got a 350 target right now at the moment. GL said you should have held. I think you made money off of it though. But 350 tops. That's gonna be an overextended move if it does get that high that fast. I don't know where Bitcoin is right now. It's at 114 and pushing. Yeah, be careful because it looked like it's trying to reject, but it's still holding. So I guess it's been at this level. It's a little bit higher than market close. So next level, 117. And that's a big chop zone too. So we just gotta watch it. Gee, I think I said I was holding coin Friday. I should have held it too, but we all make those mistakes and we get out a little faster than what we wanted to. But charge it to the game. That's just how the game goes sometimes. You feel me? So watch for 350. If it squeezes to the upside, don't hold too long. And profits can be stripped pretty quickly. We saw it here. We saw it with Oracle lately. Just don't hold overextended moves too long. So, Palantir, MSTR, Hood, Apple, Q, Spy, Amazon. Now, we all know Amazon needs to come back to life. We're looking at a nice little V recovery at the moment. So we're just gonna see how that plays out. I got my fingers crossed. I'm holding two contracts. I'm down $300. So I think the first entry was here. The second entry, it was either here or here. And I think I'm down like 38%, somewhere around there. So I'm watching for a nice little V recovery. Earnings is right around the corner. So two things could probably happen. This says 1023. I think Robinhood said 1030. We all praying, Gio. We all praying for it. But two things can happen. We can get the premium pump or we can get the pre-market run up. Well, we can get both of those. And those contracts that we have right now can get juiced up. We see some nice profits, and then we can ride this thing back up here. So that'd be pretty dope. This is a big consolidated zone between 236 and 229.60. So we've seen it drop out of there and recover. We've seen it reject at the top. It was kind of a support zone here. I think even if we go back a little bit further, it just shows that this is a level or ranges for tug of war. So even if we can get back up toward this 230, 233 level, run up that high pre-earnings, I believe that it can. I got 1024 contracts. So, I'm prepared for I'm prepared for all the nonsense. All the nonsense. Give me 230, 233. I might trim one and I'll leave one for the rest of it. Cause I got retest of highs at 236 and 239. We saw it once. And Amazon every blue moon has these big candles, these big candle like moves. We saw it here. This was a 237 to 230, a $7 move. This was 227 to 221. So it's capable of moving $6, $7 in a day. So we see a nice catalyst pre-earnings or something like that, and this things takes off. I mean, we can see 229 easily. It can get back within this chop zone, and then we can see 230, 233. I'll be fine with that. I don't need the entire move, but that'll be a beautiful opportunity to take profits. Right in here after holding for about almost a week now. So that's my looks on Amazon. Even if I scan out just a little bit, here's the first touch, second touch, third touch. So if we get a first rejection, second rejection, and then we get a third rejection somewhere around here, that'll work out beautifully. The pattern will work out perfectly. So we just gotta, keep our fingers crossed, and we just gotta see how this plays out. If that SPY can move up a little bit more, that might be nice. Cause Q's already kind of been running hot at 601, 602. And I forgot to tell y'all, since they're like this, since we saw SPY fill this gap and bounce off of here, but we still see Q's working his way down, they're out of sync right now. So that's going to be another reason that we're going to want to watch for a chop fest, because you still got one trying to work his way down to the gap fill while you already got another one that's up. So we could see a little imbalance with price action between SPY and Qs. Keep your eyes on it. If you're one of those, zero DTE or, just comparing the two, they're out balanced right now. Nvidia, I don't know how to feel about Nvidia right now. 184.50 has been giving Nvidia hell. And it tends to do this all the time. Every time it makes all-time highs, it tends to be the stock that lags behind. So, like I said, watch for 184.58, 184.50, 185 to see if it can break out, and then we want to see it hold these levels for the next move up to 189. I'm Like I said, I'm expecting a pullback on the market, so that's the only reason why I'm not saying go for calls on it. But I do know at times Nvidia can hold the market up just because it's so heavily weighted. If the rest of the market falls, we can see Nvidia do one of its little magic tricks and continue pumping while the rest of the market either trades sideways or dumps. But as of right now, it looks choppy. If we get back in between this 180 to 174 level, this can get bad. Reason why we got a gap below. We got this new gap that we just saw, and then we got a gap down here that hasn't been filled yet. So two things that I normally see happen once Nvidia starts breaking away from these gaps, it'll probably leave a third one somewhere, gap up again, leave a third one, and then run and eventually roll over. And if it rolls over, then this would be my price target, 194, 195. I like 185 calls right now. That way, if you catch that gap up, then you can ride that 185 call all the way up. But if it gets this high, then this would be the rollover, and then we'll see it come back down. But if we drop back in here, normally you see a chain reaction. It comes down, it fills one, and then it wants to fill the next one too. It's like it goes ahead and gets all the gaps out the way and prepares to carry the market for whenever it needs to. So I'm neutral. I'm neutral on Nvidia just because it can go either way. Meta, I haven't even touched Meta, alerted anything about Meta. It's been getting drilled lately. After the 788 touch, after that, it just didn't see too much. And this is a good example, like I was showing you guys on MSTR. When I start seeing too much red, yellow, and orange, it makes me cautious of going, calls on it. I'll like to wait till it gets down to at least my white targets or the green ones. It just lets me know that it's some type of buyers or reversal levels that we're looking at pretty soon. So it's filling a gap down here. This smaller gap down here to what, 738, and it bounced already off of it. So I don't know if anybody buys or trades Meta. The contracts are always extremely, extremely pricey. And the delta theta is not something that you really want to mess with too much. If it doesn't move, you'll get burned out of short expirations fairly quickly. So in order to play this, we can see a retest on 756, but I wouldn't feel too comfortable until we get down. Mm, you know what? Just don't touch the shit because it can come down to 709. But Meta just one of them stocks you just don't really know what it's gonna do. It's kind of twisted. You got sellers right here, but you got buyers in here. So the same what we seeing is this straight sell off right here. We can see it melt all the way and just squeeze all the way back up to the upside, at least halfway to this 756 and 766. So that'll help boost the market, hold up the market a little bit better. But I just wouldn't touch Meta. It looks just too weak right now. On top of the contracts being too damn expensive, they need to split again, in my opinion. Gio, good night and good luck. See you guys tomorrow. Tyreek Hill out for the season. Looks like. Oh shit. And we got three more. We got Microsoft, we got Tesla, and we got Google. So I already got Microsoft kind of drawn up. It's been rejecting here above this 515 level. We can retest 522. Microsoft is one of them stocks that, when nobody's looking, nobody's paying attention, it can squeeze to the upside and just completely go off the rails. But since we've been consolidating this big zone between 515 and 507, you just want to kind of watch those and see if we're just going to continue this roller coaster ride up and down until something finally happens, bad news or good news, a catalyst decides that it wants to help it move one way or another. So as far as Microsoft, this is one of my stayaways. Um, Honestly, I'm watching it down to 492. We kind of got a flip right here where it consolidated and then it's using that level right there as support and pushing its way back up. We'll have to see how that plays out. But as you can see, prices are kind of pinned, and this is the gray area right here between 510 and 515. This is your gray area where I wouldn't want to enter anything. Either get in the calls down here and play it back up to the upside, or short at the top and play it back down into here. But when the window is this tight, you just kind of want to stay away from the price action because you can get burned pretty easily either way. That's why you haven't seen me call any more Microsoft, entries or exits for calls or puts, just because it's been extremely high, but now it's reached a level to where, you know, buyers are trying to see if they like that level or not. We are already trading at 555. So from 555 and for it to work its way all the way back down to the low 500s, it may be gaining some interest in buyers. We'll just have to see. But right now, we just kind of consolidated. What's this? Dividends? Oh, that's just another update. I don't care about that. But just keep your eyes out for that, and don't touch it. Don't touch it. It can get chopped up pretty easily. Tesla's the same way. This is one of those overbought stocks. It had another rejection today at 449. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if it came back down to this 396. Probably before November. If you keep in mind, last November, the catalyst was him, you know, teaming up with Trump. That was the last catalyst. And if you remember, at the time Tesla was in the dumps. It was trading, very, very low. And then once the news was announced, we saw it run. So I'm kind of inverting that right now. Going into next month, maybe close to November, some type of catalyst is going to come out. I seen that they got some type of decline in sales. You always see that with Tesla. I think normally when they have a decline in sales in China, or China's doing bad or something like that, normally Tesla trades bad too, along with Apple. But I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down to this 396, 400 level and it just has a massive sell off. So I can't remember right off the top of my head how much those 400 contracts is, but anything above 449 to 461, I think is an opportunity to short it back down, and we should get these a whole lot cheaper. I think if it gets down here, last time I looked at the contracts, I want to say 400 contracts would be priced around like $200 if it gets up here. And right now, I think they're about like 2,000 for a 1024 400 puts. So I'm definitely watching those. Those can be a nice little bagger if they get that cheap for the move back down. Definitely, I like it. Like I said, I'm all for cheapies to make you money. Every once in a while, like today, I traded Costco. It was $1,000 contract, but that was just to make up some of the losses that I'm losing from Amazon trading sideways. But if this drops from $2,000 a contract to 200, and you can catch it back to the downside, that's easy bread. Easy bread. So I'm all bearish up here. Yeah, we might push higher, but I think the sell off is gonna be in there. I think it's gonna be there. And last but not least, Google. So Google's in a bit of a downtrend right now. Now what it has done is filled this gap. This time it filled it all the way down to 240. Um, it retested 251 and rejected again, and it's trading back around my neutral area 242. So it can go either way. It can use these highs right here to work its way back up, or if it breaks below this 242 and it doesn't hold, then we can see it work its way back down to 234. Google's kind of like Amazon. One day it's trading strong, and another day you just see it flop like $7 or $8 in a day, and that's like highly unusual for the price action of Google and Amazon to trade that fast, that much that fast. But this is the little trend that I got set up right now for Google. Um, Anything above 251 or 254, I think it's starting to run hot, but don't count it out. If it gets above here, 261, 265, 268. So it's not dead. It's still extremely bullish. But the thing is, you just don't know when it's gonna break out. I think they've been having a lot of, catalysts like these that's been popping out with Google. So um, it's one of my ones that I'm just not touching because it can break out either way. My main stocks that I'm watching that I'm just trading are probably going to be Amazon calls, Q puts, especially if it gets back up here to 602, and believe it or not, hood puts above 137.50, 139. I'm looking at 123 puts. So just a quick, run over my watch list just to show you guys where my head is. Anybody has any questions or anything? Most Max 17s weak. They not weak. They're just chopped. Half of them are up pretty strong. And then, you got like Amazon, you got Meta, and you got Microsoft that's been pretty chopped. But then you got Apple that's been high and consolidating. You have Nvidia that's kind of in between, not really bearish, not really bullish. And then you got Tesla and Google that's extremely high and consolidating. So, they do stuff like that to pretty much keep everything in limbo until whatever catalyst that they're waiting for pops out. Whether that's jobless claims or something that pops up right before the market opens, or a Fed meeting or something. They like to keep the market in limbo, burn out puts and calls if you hop in the middle, so that way nobody really makes money, and then next thing you know, boom, that move happens either to the upside or to the downside. And by the time it happens, everybody wondering, when should I get in or when should I get out? So right now I'm only watching the certain ones that I got clean levels on. Outside of that, you know, I just kind of watch the market, let it do what it wants. Um, Exxon, real quick, I'm gonna touch on that one. Oh yeah, 44 minutes. Told you I ain't gonna hold y'all long. Shit. Exxon Mobil, it's going back in the buy zones. If we hit 111 and dip below 111, I'm buying. Really, if we go to 109, 115s, those would be the context that I traded. I think I entered right now at like $200 for 1024 expirations for the 115. So it gives you plenty of time. But I think these ran as high as like $500. So like a $200 entry ran to about $500 when it was pushing this 118 level. And I hope you guys see what I mean by once I start seeing stocks push above my yellow lines, then I'm easing out. I'm going towards something that's cleaner, especially if it hops up in my red zone. Like Zom is pretty easy for me to read. Any dips, I'm liking the buys. Once it gets too high, I'm liking the puts. So that would have been a nice catch if it would have opened back up here, but it gapped down and it just rolled its way back down to like this 113, 112 level. So if it drops back below here, you're gonna definitely see some signals from me on Exxon. So this KO trade that I'm in, I think a couple people are in here. It's just a cheap $70 call. It got plenty of room to the upside though. We bought here at the bottom. This 40 cent move is already up like $25 a contract. So once it gets up here, we should be able to make at least 50 to $75 the closer it gets to going into money. So, I try to find some cheaper trades too to hop in. And this one is a slow mover, but the delta increase is pretty good. So when I call out these little $60, $70 stocks, like we should have hopped in Johnson and Johnson. That was a dope ass breakout too. But yeah, um, it's all what I'm watching. Be careful on bull. It needs to break $17 to be bullish. But let me stop here because I can go all night. I got 100 and some charts to that I could phase through, but we'll be here all night. So um, I'll post this up once it loads and post it in the Kingdom TV channel. That way y'all can go over it, check it out, and I'll probably be back on here and we'll do this, tomorrow night or either what's today? Monday. Probably do it Wednesday night. So either tomorrow night, which I'll let y'all know ahead of time, or we'll do it again Wednesday just to keep reviewing levels, keep everybody up to speed on where the levels are and when you should be careful entering calls and puts. So hope this helped. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. We'll do this a little bit more. So if you need anything, DM me. My channel is open under royalty alerts. You can always come in there, chop it up with me if you want to talk stocks or need charts, and we'll keep getting to the money.